Hi guys, so in today's video, we are going to be watching a number of Instagram reels. These are clips that span the entire spectrum of violence from social aggression all the way through asocial violence. While you're watching them, please understand that I am presenting this for a number of reasons. As you are watching the clips, please comment down below on your thoughts if you see anything that is of note. This comes from a list of hundreds of these types of clips. I originally started collecting these clips because I get a lot of comments on the likelihood of violence and what are the odds. And that's basically the theme of today's video, because I get the question of what are the odds of, and then you fill in that blank. What are the odds that I'm going to ever have to face somebody attacking me with a knife or a pistol, or somebody trying to abduct my child, or somebody trying to break into my house by posing as a law enforcement officer or a UPS driver? So let's start watching some of the clips and we'll discuss partway through the video.
The woman who was set on fire on a Chicago train has now been identified as 26-year-old business analyst Bethany McGee. Bethany was sitting on her phone, minding her own business, when a man walked up behind her and poured gasoline over her on a Chicago L train late Monday night, November 17th. She tried to escape toward the back of the carriage, but he followed with a lit bottle and set her on fire. Bethany was almost fully engulfed in flames. She tried to extinguish herself by rolling on the floor before the train stopped. Moments later, she ran onto the platform and collapsed, where bystanders rushed to help before paramedics arrived. Doctors say she suffered burns to 60% of her body and remains in critical condition. The suspect has been identified as 50-year-old Lawrence Reed, a career criminal with 72 prior arrests. Reed is now being held on federal terrorism charges. If Bethany dies from her injuries, prosecutors say he could face the death penalty.
Here we have a gentleman waiting for public transportation. Unfortunately, he is not paying attention. This man comes up behind him, puts him in a chokehold, and slowly takes him to the ground. More often than not, they have a buddy, and this is his accomplice, who comes over and grabs his wallet while he strips the man of everything else that he has that's valuable and leaves them there on the ground with nothing. Here's your friendly reminder. Pay attention to what's going on around.
It's number 44. All like that.
Three suspects disguised as UPS delivery drivers carried out a home invasion robbery and shot and killed a family of three. Even more brutal is that all of this happened in front of the children. Two very young children were left alone in a home filled with bodies. And in the end, the perpetrators were sentenced to life imprisonment. They used the identity of delivery drivers to gain the family's trust and successfully entered the home of an ordinary household. This was a premeditated home invasion, not a random break-in. After entering the house, the suspects held the entire family at gunpoint. The father, the mother, and their 20-year-old son were then taken away and shot dead. Only two children were left behind. One, 2 years old. The other 5 years old. The entire attack took place within the children's presence. After carrying out the killings, the three suspects simply left without causing further physical harm to the two young children. The 5-year-old girl realized her parents were dead and tried to block her 2-year-old brother's view to prevent him from seeing the scene.
Ain't no big dog, is it? Ain't no big dog, is it? Not yet. Hey, check it out. Come here. Don't move. Don't move. Move your hand. Move your hand. Move your hand. Open the window. Move like that. Wait. Open the door. Move on the floor. Hey, don't move. Stop.
Sheriff's Department. Sheriff's Department, stay right here. Don't move. Sheriff. Hey. Sheriff's Department. Sheriff's Department.
What are the odds? That question is usually being used as a shield. It is not always an honest question about risk. A lot of the time, it is a way for people to justify not training, not paying attention, not thinking through uncomfortable scenarios, and not accepting that bad things can happen to good people. Most people who become victims of violence do not wake up that morning thinking today is the day that the attack is going to happen. They were going to work, they were walking to their car, they were answering the door, they were getting gas, they were living a normal life, thinking it's going to happen the same way it always does. Then something changed. And when it changed, the odds no longer mattered. Once the event is happening, you are no longer debating probability. You are dealing with the very situation you never thought would occur. That is why what are the odds is the wrong question. A better question is, if this happened to me or someone I love, would I have any plan at all? Basically, when somebody's throttling your favorite neck, I guarantee you're not going to be thinking about what the odds are that this attack could happen to you. So as we watch these clips, I do not want you watching them like entertainment. Do not just look at the violence, look at the setup. The goal is not to become paranoid. The goal is to become harder to fool, harder to surprise, and harder to overwhelm.
County police are looking for several suspects after a stabbing at Wheaton Mall. Police say this group followed a man into the bathroom, assaulted him, and stabbed him in the arm before running away.
A horrifying moment unfolding in broad daylight when a man approaches another man waiting at a crosswalk just after 1 p.m. in San Francisco's Chinatown. When suddenly, He stabs the man in the back and runs off. The victim laying out on the sidewalk, suffering from life-threatening injuries.
The video from Roma Pizza on 5th Avenue between 19th and 20th Streets, taken the night of August 19th, 2024 after 9:45, shows Watson enter with his pit bull off leash. He buys pizza and a drink and sits in the back. Prosecutors say the manager tells him multiple times he's not allowed to have the dog in the restaurant. A few minutes later, Watson gathers his things and is at the counter speaking with the manager. He walks around the counter and strikes Zachariah El Sharif, known as Zach. The brutal attack, which included the dog biting El Sharif, lasted around 4 minutes, as prosecutors say he pleaded with Watson to stop. When he attempted to escape, prosecutors say Watson put him in a chokehold and tackled him to the ground, stomping on his head. Watson walked back in and sat in the dining area until he was arrested. El Sharif was unresponsive, in a coma for 2 weeks, treated for 2 months in the hospital for bruising, bone fractures, and a traumatic brain injury. They say he made a miraculous recovery.
A woman shot and killed 2 teenagers after they brutally assaulted her and tried to steal a car while she was working at a car wash. The incident happened one morning in Florida. The woman was working part-time at a local car wash when 2 suspects, believed to be 17 and 18 years old, approached her. Police say the teens attacked her without warning, repeatedly punching and kicking her in the face. During the assault, one teen jumped into a nearby vehicle, started the engine, and attempted to steal the car, while the other continued to hold the woman down and beat her, preventing her from escaping. Fearing for her life, the woman pulled out a legally owned firearm and opened fire. Both teenagers were fatally shot. The woman survived with facial injuries and was treated at a hospital.
Kick in his hand when out of nowhere he attacks her. Jeanette is knocked to the ground. Bystanders take a picture of the suspect, then rush to help Jeanette. The full scope of what happened wasn't clear yet. Police arrested Pea a block away and found the weapon, this wooden board with a screw through the end of it. Police say that screw went through Jeanette's eye.
Who is this guy? He's a regular. He usually punches. I guess today he decides to escalate things way worse than his usual.
Where is he usually?
He's usually just up and down third.
As paramedics race her to the hospital, it becomes obvious police know Folly Pea well.
Do you have the suspect's ID?
Yeah, suspect's ID. He's being searched right now. Yeah. You know him?
Oh, he's notorious for random assaults on 3rd Street.
Court records show Pea had multiple prior convictions for assault, including stabbing someone 8 times at a party.
What's that? I take my chances with
Seconds after she walks in, a man jogs up to the door. The young woman you're watching is walking back to her own apartment building. It's just after 10:30 at night. She's coming home from a festival downtown. She's smiling. She's relaxed. Watch her glance behind her. She doesn't know she was followed. 40 seconds after she walks in, a man jogs up to the door. He looks through the glass. He sees her on the couch inside. He waves to get her attention. They talk for less than a minute. Then she opens the door and lets him in. She would never come out alive. Her name is Paula Lapere. She's 26 years old.
All right, everyone. That concludes all the clips I'm going to show for now. I had more, but I figured this video showed enough of them to hammer the point home. Look, most people will go through most days without violence touching them. They may go through their entire life without having to deal with violence at all. But when violence does show up, the odds no longer matter. What matters is whether you saw the problem early, whether you had distance, whether you had options, whether your family knew what to do. and whether you had trained anything useful before that moment. That is personal protection. It's your responsibility to keep your loved ones safe. So ask better questions. What is my plan? What am I missing? What skill do I need to build? What conversation do I need to have with my family? So I'll leave you with this. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "What are the odds?" as a reason not to prepare for something? If you have, drop it in the comments. I'd like to hear where that shows up in your life, whether it is self-defense, home security, travel, family safety, or something else entirely. Please train somewhere credible. Build real capability and stop waiting for the odds to give you permission to prepare. Get the training before the violence manifests in your life. I'll see you guys in the next video.